Hello everyone, and this is Gary Maloney here for Sacktown Slam. This has been a very, very busy time for me, especially between NXT Philadelphia, Royal Rumble, and between that and now, I've had SPW 2 times, I've had my birthday, and then a very, very distracting thing called the Nintendo Switch. So, I've been wanting to get back to this, and this is, the time I felt was right to do so, especially with both Fastlane and, of course, Elimination Chamber this Sunday around the corner. I thought I'd throw some predictions and opinions out there. I just got done watching this week's NXT. It is sad to see that Johnny Gargano never really won the big one. I mean, that's a very, very depressing thing to see. I mean, Gargano was made such a big deal out of. I mean, they did win the tag titles, so he didn't walk out of NXT title lists, but at the same time, it would have made his singles impact a lot bigger. My hope is that he gets put on SmackDown. What I am dreading is that he gets put on 205. But, we've seen Buddy Murphy put on 205, and we've seen some of the UK guys put on 205, so that's not an impossible possibility because, they're really trying to do up 205. I mean, Mark Andrews, who's from the UK tournament, definitely is making this look more interesting, and I think a lot of the older guys like Apollo Crews and TJP are also making that look more interesting. Obviously that tournament culminates at WrestleMania, so I'll have more to say about it. I mean, the first round just ended the day before yesterday, and it's looking very interesting. I mean, in the next round, we've got Apollo Crews versus TJP. We've got Mark Andrews versus Drew Gulak. We've got Buddy Murphy and then you've got other matches, which I unfortunately can't remember. Yeah, Roderick Strong versus Kalisto was another one. But in all honesty, is going to be very difficult, honestly, to peg down who they want as their cruiserweight champ going to WrestleMania. I don't know if this is going to be a pre-show match, as many of the cruiserweight matches have been in the past, but I would hope with all the work that has been put into it that it's like maybe the opening match to just start the night off, or somewhere in between where, they'd normally put a bathroom break match or something. And no, that's not always the women's match. Anyway, as I said, we're headed this Sunday into Elimination Chamber, and another 2 weeks from now into Fastlane. I don't have a very positive outlook at either one of these pay-per-views because they are very, very much lacking in both content and depth. And so, let me get started with first Elimination Chamber. I noticed after the Royal Rumble that Elimination Chamber, and excuse me if you hear my dogs in the background, the damn things won't shut up because one of them is in heat. So, forgive me on that one if I had a choice. I love the damn things, but sometimes I want to strangle them sometimes. Anyway, Raw had a new outline these past couple weeks, and they updated their music. They got Jonathan Coachman on commentary instead of Booker T. I mean, they were really looking at building a bigger and better Raw, but my problem was, number one, it was way too obvious who they were going to put in the chamber in these Elimination Chamber matches. And then they made a triple threat, which I thought was interesting. You'd think Strowman would have gotten the 6th spot, but with the way they ended it, Elias got the 6th spot. And then you had a fatal 4-way, which was turned into a fatal 5-way for the other spot, but essentially, you know, that person is coming out first, I guess. So it's a muddled mess. And the other part about this Elimination Chamber match that I absolutely loathe is that, yet again, The Miz is not defending his Intercontinental title. You might as well call the son of a bitch Brock Lesnar at this point, because he's not defending his title. And while he will defend it on Raw here or there, it's really your job to defend that title at a pay-per-view. I mean, it's not a pay-per-view unless you are defending your titles. And I just feel like there's not going to be a pre-show match for the Cruiserweight title because they don't have a champion. Your champion is Mr. Vacant at this point, so you can't throw that under the bus. If you're not going to do the Intercontinental title, or you're not going to do, say, the women's title, then your pre-show thing should have been signing, you know, should have been signing your new person, you know, Ronda Rousey. But it just seems to me like Fastlane is going nowhere fast, pardon the pun. But anyway, allow me to get to the bigger picture. So, your match is Braun Strowman versus Elias versus Finn Balor versus John Cena versus Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus The Miz for a shot at the WWE Universal title at WrestleMania 34. Okay, the big picture here is that it's not going to be The Miz. He more than likely will be defending the IC title despite, and rumors are saying it's going to be against Braun. If that's true, Braun is also not winning the Elimination Chamber. And I've heard this through multiple sources like Dave Meltzer, Ryan Satin, JD from New York. So, yeah, there's too many sources that have stated this is the case for it to not be the case. So I would mark both of those off your list right now if you think either one is going to win. Elias is too green. I like Elias's spot in the match, but I don't think he's gonna get it. I mean, he's been getting the rub from a lot of the right people, like Cena, for instance, Balor, Bray Wyatt. So a lot of people have lost to him lately, and he's been getting a good push. I think he's IC champion by SummerSlam easy. But I just don't think that Fastlane and WrestleMania are going to be his time. I think the rest of 2018 is what it will be his time and what he will be defined by. I don't think this WrestleMania is going to be big for him, but I think next WrestleMania, 2019, that's going to be a boom for him. Balor and Cena and Seth. Here's the thing. Balor does deserve another shot at the Universal title, but as long as some big dude has the fucking Universal title, I don't think they're going to risk Balor's health. And as much as I hate to say it, until somebody who's not 280 fucking pounds has the title, they're not going to risk Balor's health. Seth's glass ceiling is really up to Seth, but I think that they're so dead set on Roman winning that title. I was shocked when Roman didn't win the Royal Rumble and when Nakamura defeated him, that I literally took off my shirt and started flinging it around and singing, whoa, Nakamura's song and acting like the crowd, because I was so happy when Roman didn't win. Because I was saying, Roman's going to win, because Raw stands for Roman always wins. Well, thank goodness that time it didn't happen. But when I heard about the Elimination Chamber match, yeah, Roman's winning this match. And, corporate initiative is something WWE is well known for. He's a member of the Samoan Dynasty. There you go. I love Seth. I think Seth and Finn at SummerSlam for the Universal title would be great. Because I'd love to see how a rematch with those two go. I don't want to see, and God willing, they get rid of Brock after WrestleMania. I mean, I must be the only person here with any 2 cents about wrestling, because, dear God, Brock has done nothing but bring that company down since 2015. 5 freaking times a year we see him wrestle, and maybe 3 or 4 defend a belt. Like this year at Survivor Series, he didn't defend no belt. He had a great match against AJ Styles, but he didn't put up the belt. So that doesn't even count to me. I mean, because everyone knew no matter who he was going to get put up against, he would have murdered Mahal. And AJ turned out to be a much better match than I had assumed, but yeah, it just wasn't going to happen. But yeah, I would assume just then and there that you're not going to see anyone but Roman win this match. Their initiative last March was to have Roman versus Lesnar at this year's WrestleMania. They were long-term booking it ahead of time. I don't know why. I don't know what Roman's done to deserve it, as he was booed the fuck out of the building the night after, the night after WrestleMania, that following Monday. All people were saying was Roman sucks, fuck you Roman, an asshole. The whole crowd just heckled the shit out of him when he was supposed to be coming into a hero's welcome, which just shows you how WWE fans really feel. So I don't know why you're force-feeding us Roman. So, but whatever, to each his own. I mean, I have many people that tell me AJ Styles is this and AJ Styles is that, and AJ Styles should earn it, and AJ Styles earns a hell of a lot more than Roman, I'll tell you that much. But anyway, next match is the Women's Elimination Chamber match, which is Alexa Bliss versus Bayley versus Mandy Rose versus Mickie James versus Sonya Deville versus Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's title. Now, let me get this out of the way, because I'm all for these women's firsts, but I don't like them shoved down my throat either. And this is first time this, first time that. When the last 2 firsts were about a year apart, because we had a Hell in the Cell the previous year, and then this year, and then in 2017, we had the first ever Women's Money in the Bank. Then Royal Rumble. We had the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. I think they should have saved the Elimination Chamber for, next year. And I mean, we had the Mae Young Classic also last year. So, okay. But, this is almost a little bit too much initiative pushing. I'm all for women's wrestling. I've got nothing against the women. But just like any other initiative this company has, sometimes there is a line where you gotta say there is too much. So, but as far as this match goes, and I'm just gonna go over this really quick. Alexa Bliss, she's literally 5'0". I'm worried about her safety in this match, because this is a steel structure. Ain't no padding outside that ring. This is a steel structure. So, I'm worried, even if she, quote unquote, does win this, as she is said to be winning, she could walk out of there with injuries and have to give up the title. So I worry about her safety. Bayley, not winning. She just doesn't have the momentum. She hasn't been supported for over a year. I mean, for her, it's been the Johnny Gargano story. Lose, 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 lose. And she's won the last few that she's had, which has been a good thing, but it's going to take a lot more than 3 victories to tell me she's going to win an Elimination Chamber. So, then you've got Mandy Rose not winning. She's too green. And, Absolution really was only put together because they barely had enough women to flesh out that 30 Women's Royal Rumble. She should not have been moved up as fast as she was. But, good on these women for at least trying, and being thrown into an Elimination Chamber and a Women's Royal Rumble in your first month is one hell of an accolade to say that you survived. So, if they survive this, they don't even have to win because they're not going to. But if they could say they survived this and move on without any injuries or problems, then that's a fairly big accolade. Mickie James, I don't think that she'll win this. I would be highly, highly suspect if she did. I'm not seeing it. So, I mean, it would be cool, and it would be a surprise. But, I mean, she's older, and it just doesn't seem to me like she'd be the one to win. Sonya Deville definitely not winning it. When you have a wannabe MMA fighter with 2 real MMA fighters in your company, Miss Put Your Hair Up and Square Up ain't gonna... No. Bye. I wouldn't be surprised if she got removed after spring sweeps, because there's nothing that she brings to the table original at all. So, yeah, she's nothing to write home about. Sasha. Now, this is where things get interesting. Sasha could potentially win it, in my opinion, because they pushed that match between Sasha and Asuka. And, it was very interesting, but it saw that return to evil, mean, I'm a bitch, Sasha. And that is one of those, like, I'm the shit. Kind of, that's the Sasha I like. Not this, let's be friends, baby. No. Because, quite frankly, Sasha is better as a heel. And, I like her as a heel. I like her as a cutthroat, stab you in the back, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win and get what I want kind of character. If that doesn't happen, she won't win this. So, but I can see the WWE kind of making a turnaround, giving Sasha the title, because Alexa's had it since April. I mean, she's almost had it for a year. I honestly, again, with Brock, I mean, I can only stomach someone for so long. I don't want a champion for a year, much less 2. No. So, please just get that stupid title off Alexa Bliss. She hadn't even defended it since October. So that's October, November, December, January. And now we're into February. Get it off of her already. I mean, it just feels to me like she's gotten to dance and prance around with it too much and not do any defending of it. Like, if this were SmackDown, she'd have defended it on SmackDown already. Because Monday Night Raw is so egocentric on the male side, that's why that hasn't happened. So, it just doesn't feel to me like they're taking the women that seriously on Raw. Which is very sad, because Raw, by far, has the better women, yet they're not doing anything with them. So, logic with WWE, right? Let's shove more Roman Reigns down your throat with a 30-minute promo and give the women 5 minutes to wrestle. Gag me, please. Anyway, then you have Asuka versus Nia Jax in a singles match, and if Nia Jax wins, she'll be added to the Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania 34. Okay. Here's the thing. Number one, I doubt Nia Jax is going to win. I think this is going to be one of those bigger tests for Asuka. Now, if, and I am saying this in looking at both sides of this coin, if they fuck Asuka out of her undefeated streak, yeah, she would get a shot at the Raw Women's Champion, but Asuka never really said who she was going to face at WrestleMania. So, WrestleMania, honestly, is very open to whatever will happen on the Raw side, and she could just easily say, I want to face Charlotte, which would mean whoever wins at Elimination Chamber could not only be facing, Ronda Rousey, but Nia Jax as well. I would not want to be in that situation, but that's only if Nia Jax even defeats Asuka, which I do not think will happen. If it does, then they're stupid, because they need to keep that streak alive at least, I want to say, until the end of the year. You want to take it from her at the end of the year, then by all means, do it at something like Survivor Series. Because that would be a big way to make waves. In a good way. You have Woken Matt versus Bray Wyatt. Now, a lot of people are saying, this feud is underwhelming. This feud sucks. I don't like Woken Matt. This whole Woken thing is boring now. First of all, there are times where the WWE will play the long game. I find this whole thing extremely entertaining, because these are two guys that give better promos than they do in the ring. Their ring skills are not good. That's not where their strength lies. Their strength lies in their promo work. And I remember WWE would do this, a long time ago with certain guys that weren't very good at wrestling, but they were much better on the mic. And I feel like people, they don't appreciate some of the smaller idiosyncrasies of wrestling like this. And I can appreciate it. Both of these guys are older guys, and they're not, one is slightly overweight, and he's got a lot of power, but he doesn't have a lot of speed. And the other guy is in good shape, but is still older. But I think this all comes to a head, and they're waiting to give a lot of people what they want with Matt Hardy, I think, towards WrestleMania. I think WrestleMania, when they have that 1 year mark of being back in the company, that's when bigger things will happen. Jeff could possibly be back for WrestleMania. I have no idea, but it seems to me like this is probably in a cinch in the bag for, in my opinion, Woken Matt, because Bray Wyatt couldn't get a win if he begged for one. So, but my guess here is that whoever wins here probably won't win at WrestleMania. So it could be Bray that wins here. But unfortunately for these two guys, they're going to have to eventually face other people. Two gimmicks may work well together, but you have to make your gimmick sort of multiversal. You have to be able to work it with everybody. That's why gimmicks like John Cena's unfortunately work so well, and gimmicks, you see, you gotta be able to be like The Undertaker and just strike fear into people. And that's what Bray Wyatt used to be able to do. Unfortunately, a huge string of losses just took all the credibility out of Bray Wyatt. Matt's starting to slip that way, and I didn't like when they were having Matt lose on Raw. I think it was 4 weeks in a row, because then you're just bringing a guy back just to lose. So I'm glad that it started this whole broken thing, or Woken, and that was that. So that's what's been going on with Raw. Now we can go on to SmackDown, which has made even less sense. SmackDown, over the last few weeks, has not made a lot of sense. It's basically been, let's just go into cruise control, into Fastlane, and just book shit that doesn't make sense just to book it. And that's really the way it felt, because at first it was going to be a triple threat between AJ, Sammy, and Kevin Owens. Then suddenly you get Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler added to that picture. So it really feels to me you're making a meaningless fatal 5-way match in which, we already know, much like with what's going on at Elimination Chamber, we already know who the winner is. So why are you making these big matches to bury these guys just so one guy can hog the glory? If AJ was going to be the winner, because Nakamura already said, I want to face AJ at WrestleMania. Do you really think they're going to endanger that match that the fans have been asking for like 2 years? No. And even if he does lose the title, he's just going to ask for his rematch the following Tuesday and win it back. What is the point? I mean, and so I don't get where SmackDown is at right now with their talent. I definitely see after what happened on NXT tonight with Johnny Gargano having to leave the company. I could see him as a SmackDown guy. I could see him as a 205 Live guy, but hopefully SmackDown. He seems like it's the SmackDown type. Because if he goes to 205, then Ciampa's going to 205. So Ciampa better hope he goes to SmackDown. Because if Gargano goes to 205, that's pretty much what's in Ciampa's future. So, but nonetheless, I think they do need more competition on SmackDown for the WWE title. So, and it now you've got okay. So March 11th is Fastlane. Now it seems to me like Fastlane is just seemingly looking more and more, how can I put this, just confusing. Now, let's look at each match. Excuse me. Now, you already have the Fatal 5-Way, and it really does make little sense, and I've mentioned that. Then you've got Charlotte Flair versus Ruby Riott. Now, this SmackDown's women's division has been all over the place, and I do mean all over the place. And it's been a lot of the Riot Squad and the Welcoming Committee and everybody else. Why do we care? Again, the Riot Squad was only added to there, which is even more green people and that haven't even been there as long as the people in Absolution. So I just get the feeling that this is just about Ruby Riott getting her ass kicked before WrestleMania. So I don't know what else to say on that one, because Charlotte's not going to lose the title to Ruby Riott. And no matter how she wins, she's keeping the title. Even if the Riot Squad does decide to beat her up, which I could see happening, but again, what's the point? I just don't see Ruby Riott winning this one logistically. And, this could be a holdover too, until Asuka challenges Charlotte at WrestleMania 34. So, it seems to me like that's the case, but I really don't know what else to tell you. Bobby Roode versus Randy Orton, it definitely seems like the right kind of match. I like the people in it, but how they got here really doesn't make that much sense. It was a couple of RKOs, and Randy Orton seems to me like he's trying to go back to being a heel. Over the last couple weeks, he's RKO'd out of nowhere. Both Bobby Roode and Jinder Mahal. A lot of us are waiting for this one to become a triple threat. Why the fuck Jinder deserves yet another shot at a title at this point, I don't know. I mean, Jinder had a 6-month stint as the WWE champion. He had like a 2-month stint as the US champion. At this point, I mean, that's 8 of... I would say that's 8 of the last 12 months you've been a champ. You're done. You know, your WWE is not in the business of giving guys that aren't, you know, at that level that those kind of title pushes, despite where you are on the card. Just not gonna happen. I mean, Jinder has improved. Jinder has done a great deal of improving. I'm not gonna deny that. I think he's deserving of the U.S. title? Yes, but not everyone is going to get the title all the time. Does he deserve to be in that title picture on a permanent facet? Yes. I think that Randy Orton should also be put into that title picture, or Randy Orton personally should go wherever he wants. Randy Orton's earned it. He deserves it. He's got 14 world titles to prove it. Winning his last one, I believe, winning the last one at WrestleMania. So now it's been, you know, and while it's been all uphill for Randy Orton, it has definitely been all downhill for Bray Wyatt, which is why I'm also thinking he'll lose at Elimination Chamber. But yeah, Bobby Roode versus Randy Orton. As far as who I think will win, I think it's going to be Roode. I don't see why you would take the title off of him now. I think that's the person you want to go in to WrestleMania with as the champion. If you're going to start something, then start it with taking the title off of a face and having a rubber match with somebody in the mid-card. At this point, we do not know who is facing the New Day. Or we do not know who's facing the Usos. So at this point, it feels like it will be the New Day facing the Usos. I'm not a big proponent of doing this yet again, because I don't like rubber matching as much as those two teams have had. I really would like them to push Gable and Benjamin, because they've got the tools. They can get it done. They just need to be given the chance to get it done. And, you know, yes, New Day is a great team. I'm not taking anything away from the New Day. But if all you focus on is New Day and Usos, then A, bringing in Shelton Benjamin as a tag team talent was stupid. You should have left Gable in the US division, and you wouldn't have to worry about Jinder. The other thing is that I feel like, you know, what about all these other tag teams that you have on your SmackDown Live roster that Raw don't have? The only people you're going to focus on are New Day and the Usos. What about the Fashion Police? What about, you know, Breezango, excuse me. What about the Ascension, who have essentially become the biggest joke in NXT history? What about, you know, the Bludgeon Brothers, which apparently those guys could be getting the rub here, and I think the Bludgeon Brothers are gonna go after the Usos, most likely at WrestleMania, but will they win? I do not know. So it feels like, it wouldn't be surprising if they did add Gable and Benjamin and made it a 6-man, because they've had issues with both teams. But this situation will probably roll itself out or smooth itself out in the next couple weeks. So now everything else at this point, it hasn't even happened for Fastlane. It's just, supposed. Now the other big announcement that they stated on NXT yesterday was that they are bringing back the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic going into WrestleMania. Now this is a very big time that we are looking forward to, and this is a very big tournament. And the last time that we saw Shane Thorne and his tag team partner and TM61 was in the last Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, which was in November 2016. Technically, we didn't even have one in 2017, which is probably why they're giving us one at the beginning of 2018. But I think everybody's forgetting that we saw War Machine at the NXT in January at the Takeover event in Toronto or in Philadelphia. And the funny thing is that I do not see anyone getting past War Machine if they're in that tournament, which I'm sure they will be. Not to mention a lot of other teams that'll probably be in there, like Sanity. We know TM61 because before the end of NXT, they declared they'd be in it. In fact, the last thing they were in as a tag team before all this injury stuff, they had a match, I think, 2 weeks ago, and then their last match before that was against AOP in the finals of that tag team tournament. Speaking of AOP, that's another team that could be in it. We have Undisputed, who could be in it. I mean, this is going to be a very interesting tag team championship tournament that could definitely lead to some, big matchups. I mean, Heavy Machinery, the Street Profits. I mean, there's a lot of up-and-coming tag teams right now in NXT, and I think that's what's going to make this so exciting. Riddick Moss and Sabatelli. I mean, that's another one. I mean, there's a lot of NXT tag team talent right now, which I think is what's going to make this so exciting for me, because I can't wait to see the matchups, and I can't wait to see who's on what side of the bracket. But yeah, it's going to be big. And, I'm not even sure who I'd root for, but my guess at this point, as far as your winner, would be War Machine. I mean, for them to not have War Machine be the winner of this tournament would be a mistake. And I guess the winner is to be crowned at TakeOver New Orleans, which is the TakeOver right before WrestleMania. Again, War Machine. What a bigger coming out party than that. So I don't really see how you could possibly do that. Also, as I said, Gargano lost tonight, which means your champion is Andrade Cien Almas. some people are saying that both Andrade and Gargano would be called up. I'm not sure. Johnny is infinitesimally possible now that he's lost. But I don't think Andrade's going anywhere. Some people are saying McIntyre could be called up. Given the tweet that he left when he was injured, I don't think that's going to happen. I think he comes back, goes for the NXT title, and then, loses it and gets called up. But that could take till SummerSlam. Normally, we see some of these guys at the beginning of the spring and the end of the fall come to the roster. So, but I just don't see it happening for McIntyre. Not at this time. I mean, and that's an opinion. That is not anything official. But I haven't heard anything from the official people like Meltzer or Satin yet about this, other than Gargano is definitely getting called up, and that more than likely AOP is getting called up. If WWE is smart, you put AOP on Raw because that's where you put all the big guys anyway, and Raw is lacking very badly for tag teams. I mean, they're lacking so bad that you've got to put Apollo and freaking Titus O'Neil as a tag team. That is how bad your tag team division sucks on Raw. So, it is extremely interesting how all this is shaping out. And this middle part of the road to WrestleMania is it's always very interesting because, especially in the NXT portions of it that I've seen over the last few years, this is where you sort of start feeling out who they're calling up and who's staying behind. So I think that what we are going to get in the next few months from NXT is going to be very good. What we get from the next few months from Raw and SmackDown is probably going to be, much like it always is, a mixed bag. So, my name is Gary Maloney, and for this edition of Sacktown Slam, I am signing off. I will be, and hopefully, I will be here for a post-show after Elimination Chamber. So until then, catch you all later.